Before I even talk about the figure, I need to preface with the fact that I needed to change my camera settings to spotlight because this figure's reflectiveness is so shiny that my lights didn't know what to do, and my camera was like, this looks awful. So I had to change the settings so you would actually see this figure in all of its glory. This is what may be one of the nicest figures in my entire collection, by far my nicest Iron Man. This is my very first and probably my only Hot Toys Iron Man, the Mark 45. I have wanted a Hot Toys Iron Man for years, and it was 2020 where I got myself the Iron Patriot because I love the Iron Patriot and it was cheaper than most Iron Man figures. But the Mark 45, my absolute favorite armor, that's the one that I was after, and it took me quite a while. But I finally found one for a pretty good price. At the end of the day, this thing still costs about $360, but that's better than the $400 or $500 that it normally goes for. Also, to say, I love the Mark 45 so much, I also own the Mafex version. And this is one where, when I got it, I was like, oh man, this is almost like a Hot Toys level deco. Sure, the figure's a floppy, cloppy mess. Look at his head. Look at that. Freaking bobblehead. While the figure's a freaking floppy mess, the deco's really nice on it. And yeah, it is. But actually having the Hot Toys to compare it to, this thing is on a whole other level, man. Absolute whole other level. So I do need to scoot him out of the way. And honestly, he feels like a statue. He really does, with how heavy he is in his big old display base. Because I need to talk about his big old box real quick. I'm not going to go into too much detail because it's super big. You can see Iron Man Mark 45. It is MMS300 D11. You can see the box has some nice decoration on it showing the Mark 45. You know, it's a box. The back shows the artist responsible. And lifting up the top, I'm not going to fully take it off. But lifting it off, I already did fully take it off. You can see where the foam casing shows Iron Man Mark 45. And of course, you just take that cover off and you see his tomb. I just like showing off the boxes so you guys have an idea of how these figures should come. Honestly, I would not buy this figure without the box. So, here it is, the Mark 45. Absolutely gorgeous. Before we talk about the figure, we need to talk about the accessories, because there's a few things about the accessories I really need to point out. There's one unfortunate thing, and there's one omission that I understand, but I still would have liked. So, starting off, we have battle damage chest plate, and I will put this on the figure later in the video. It's still really nice. You can already get a look how the paint's going to be on this. Absolutely gorgeous. I love the holes, the clear little glass. It's not actual glass, but you know, the clear window for the arc reactor. You can see the back. Not really any detail there, but still really nice. You get two fisted hands that are very nice clenched fists. Really nice red and gold paint. Keep that in mind. Very nice red paint. He also does come with articulating hands, which is what I have him with, and you'll see those later. And he has two different sets of repulsor hands. He has these hands right here without an effect, and you can see there's a window right there for the light to shine through, and I will show how that works, but I won't turn those lights on because I don't have batteries in his arms. But you can see something about his paint. It's kind of pink. Bringing in a fisted hand, you can see how these hands are a little more pink, and that is a nice glossy red. That's because Hot Toys has moved away from this, at least as far as I know. But these are made out of a softer, more pliable plastic. You can see I'm plying this, especially that arm guard. Look at that. That's totally pliable. And unfortunately, that means it doesn't retain the paint as well, and the paint fades over time. This is a, 5-year-old figure at this point. So unfortunately, the paint does fade on these rubbery bits, but I really don't know if I'll ever really use the repulsor hands. One hand set that I will probably use at some point, though, are these repulsor hands that have the effects on them. And unfortunately, these are made of the same rubbery plastic, so they also have the pinkish hue to it where it's fading ever so slightly. The figure itself does not have any soft plastic on it, so it will not have any fading hue, which is great. Also comes with more blast effects he can put on his feet, which I really appreciate. I probably will not put these on the video since He's kind of heavy, and I'm scared I'm going to, like, drop it while I'm trying to do that. But he does have those effects, which are really nice. He also does have this, which is part of his base. This is like a crotch cradle. I haven't really felt the need for this one quite yet, but it's definitely some nice extra support. It doesn't have any foam, though, which is not that good. I'm worried that might actually scrape him up a little bit, but he does have that little cradle. One final effect piece, and I'll show these off on him as well. They look like beam sabers. If you're a Gundam fan, these look like beam sabers to like a 1/100 scale figure, but they are not. They are beam effects. They go on his arms, and I really love these. Can't use them right now because I'm worried if I have him with this on the shelf, my kitten will somehow grab a hold of that tip and totally destroy it. So can't use those right now. And last but not least, he has his display base. Let's just take him off this base. This base makes him stand very tall. But just release the clamp right there. And let's get the figure standing straight. Very durable figure. I am not afraid of him loosening up or breaking or falling. Well, if he falls, that would be a problem. But I trust the base to not let him go. So the base does have the dynamic flight pole. Unfortunately, though, this is an older design where you cannot have this part actually slide down the body of the pole. It's always stuck in the exact same position. So what I've had to do for a lot of positions, I have to like bend it back and then bend it forward to kind of shorten it. It's unfortunate, but it is how it is. It screws into this base right here. And as you can see, he's got a little buddy with him. He has an Ultron drone that has been beaten up and wrecked and everything. We'll take a look at him in a second. But here is the Sokovia display base. Gorgeous, gorgeous display base. Looks like there's a little bit of white crusty in there that shouldn't be there. Can I get that out? Can I get that out right there? I'm going to use one of these, which is very responsible. Yep, there we go. Get gone. You're gone. But yeah, nice little Sokovia display base. I appreciate that. On the bottom, that's what that looks like. It's a base. Let's look at this Ultron drone. Because this is almost like its own figure, honestly. It's like half of its own figure. Really gorgeous detail. Not as detailed as what it would be if it was a full-fledged figure, I feel. But still very nice. Just painted eyes. I wish those were clear, honestly. Makes it look a little toyish instead of like a figure. But you can see he does have some articulation on the shoulders. Those just come off if you want extra little bits. His head also comes off if you want that to be just a head, if you want him holding that, or just that off to the side while the body's somewhere else, if you want more parts just scattered throughout the base. But you can see it almost looks like it's, internal organs right there. Pretty gnarly. Looks like a spine almost, like an actual spine. That's kind of creepy. Still really nice addition. I'm really happy that that's a part of this figure. So, speaking of the figure, we've talked about everything else long enough. Let's talk about the gorgeous baby that is the Mark 45. So taking a look at the detail on this thing, it is downright gorgeous. Look at all of this paint, all of this metallic red, and this nice shiny gold, and this gunmetal gray, all throughout the suit. Really makes it one of the most gorgeous armors I think has ever existed for Iron Man. The designer of the armor basically wanted it to look like a wearable Ferrari, and as you're looking, you can really tell that's what it is. So I did say that this will probably be my only Hot Toys Iron Man. That's because I kind of have a philosophy with Hot Toys. The more I get, I feel like the less special they'll become. So with Iron Man, I really just wanted one. I didn't really want any others. I just really wanted one Iron Man. And I figured I wanted it to be my absolute favorite armor. So Mark 45 it was. And I have no regret. It is made of die cast. I would say a decent chunk of this figure is die cast, which is really nice. Really makes it feel hefty and very weighty and substantial. Like you really got your money's worth out of it. Look at that gold right there. Gorgeous. Gorgeous gold. Look at the little internal details in there in the armpit. Insane. I love that almost bony look to the side of the torso right there. Then you can get these plates moving out of the way. Get a better look at the legs. Look at this. Look at that gloss on the red there. It's like a candy red. The thigh armor, the knee plates. I love the little rivets. Almost looks like little exhaust vents or something. Little vents right there. I love the look of the knees. There's a detail in there too. Then the feet. Oh my gosh. All the little details. All the little moving panels and everything to get the feet articulating. That panel right there. That panel right there. That panel right there slides off too. Absolutely gorgeous figure. Dude, I can't get enough of it. It is so gorgeous. So you may have seen plenty of little pieces moving around on him because he has a lot of little features. Obviously, the most famous feature of Hot Toys Iron Man figures are the light-up features. Unfortunately, I mean, this is a 5-year-old figure, so I can understand why this doesn't have it. But Hot Toys still has not innovated. They still don't make these figures chargeable. They use batteries, and I don't like that. So, take that panel off his head, flick the switch, and his eyes light up really nice and bright. Not bright enough for me, personally, and unfortunately, I'm scared to leave it on any longer than that. Let's at least get the dome back on so you can see. I'm scared to leave it on any longer than that because I'm worried that the batteries are going to die. And batteries are kind of expensive. Or I'm worried the LEDs are going to give out. So, unfortunately, I really don't use the lights. One good thing, though, he does have a lot of white in his eye, so he doesn't look really dead if he has some good lighting. You can see he still looks like he has eyes, they're just not lit up. His chest, though, while it does have the white, it's more recessed, which does mean it's not going to be as bright. This is why I keep the thumbnail long. I had to say that at some point. Flick that switch on his back, and you can see his arc reactor lights up even less bright, honestly. That's not bright at all. I mean, it's bright enough, I guess. Then his arms, I actually use these so little I don't even have batteries in his arms. They're kind of hard to get undone. This whole inner panel is the arm panel. It's kind of scary to get this off. I've only done it the once to take the batteries out. Well, I mean, on one that wasn't even working. Basically, my thumbnail has come in handy for this because you kind of have to split that panel right there. There we go. And thumbnails are like firm enough but soft enough to not scrape anything up. So that's why I really... It's like, dude, I'm sorry, it's super useful. Look at that. I would have had to grab a tool otherwise. You can see how that comes off. Flick that switch. Hand would light up, but I don't have any batteries in there. And then get that clicked back on. And it's the same for the other arm. Other panels. His back. He's got some panels. He's got his brake flaps. You can see, get that up, and the same on the other side, but I'm going to show all of them. Come on. There we go. And there we go. So he's got his brake flaps on his back. Really nice detail in there. Really digging that. Oh, dude, it's so nice. It's so nice. His chest, like I said, it does have interchangeable plate. Just take that off and you see a lot of nice mechanical detail underneath. It doesn't have any wash or anything. It's just all painted gunmetal silver, but still looks really gorgeous. And while we're at it, let's just get that battle damaged plate on him for the rest of the video here. Goes on pretty nice and snug. No real complaints there. You can see some of that internal detail inside too. Kind of hard, depending on the lighting, but if you get the light shining right in there, it looks pretty good. His waist and his body does have some flaps and things. You extend it for articulation, and that gives you a flap right there. And you also have hip flaps, so the legs have articulation as well. The legs, I do believe, have some sort. Maybe they don't. I don't really think his legs have flaps. Now that I'm really thinking about it, I don't really think they do. I know his feet, I already showed off his foot flaps. But I don't really think his legs have any noticeable flaps. Maybe they do. I feel like I'm seeing a seam right there. Or maybe not. No, I don't think so. I thought he did. I was probably just thinking of another Iron Man armor. But speaking of other Iron Man armors, you may be wondering, oh, with the accessories you didn't show off a Robert Downey Jr. head. Well, that's because this is like one of the only armors that Tony Stark ever wore where he did not expose his face in the armor. So Hot Toys did not include a Robert Downey Jr. head. It's really disappointing. I feel like they just should have for the heck of it. I mean, Mafex did. Mafex actually did, but Hot Toys didn't. Oh man, that's kind of a letdown. I understand, like I said in the beginning of the video, I understand why they didn't. But still, I think that would have been nice. You can get a Robert Downey Jr. head sculpt on there if you want. There is videos out there that show you can pop the head and the neck off of this figure, put a Robert Downey Jr. head on. If you have a neck collar from another Iron Man, great. If not, it just looks a little bare. But still, it's nice to have the option. I might end up getting Robert Downey Jr. head someday just to have it with this figure, because I don't plan on getting another Iron Man or Tony Stark. This is it for me. This is the one. Flip out panels. I also forgot. I actually finished the video and I forgot about this, even though I mentioned how cool it is. He has the flip out panels in his arms for his laser beams. Just pull those out. You can see those look really nice. They're for both arms too, so that's really cool. Get this big old beam in there. It is like square, so make sure it goes in straight. Get that in all nice and snug. Maybe close up his fist if you want. And there we go, he's got his beam. These are super cool, super long. I really dig it. I think he used these to like cut a hole in something in the movie. It's been quite a while since I've watched it. But yeah, I think those are really nice. I think it's most memorable when he was using these beams in the Mark 6 armor at the end of Iron Man 2 to get all the hammer drones totally wiped out. But yeah, just had to mention this because it's an important detail of the figure and I didn't want to forget. Alrighty, 16 minutes in, let's show off that articulation because he's got a lot going on. So his head is very nicely posable, moves up almost all the way. You can see how there's like a hinge in there. Moves down pretty much all the way. Decent tilt side to side, and sideways I do have to point out is kind of at a bit of an angle, but still, I mean, look at that. Oh man, gorgeous. Ah, I love it. Whew, okay. So his shoulders, some people don't like. They feel like they're very disconnected because they have these pull-out joints that allow basically a bit of butterfly motion as well as getting the arm all the way out without the shoulder pad bumping into the body and also allowing for the arms to move forward. I do see why people feel like it makes the arm look disconnected, but that's if you're not a good poser. I'm sorry. If you pose your Iron Man looking like this, then you don't know how to pose an Iron Man. Push it in. Once you've done your pose, hide it. Push it in. Do something. There are some poses where it will look awkward no matter what. That is unfortunate. But honestly, I think that was a worthy sacrifice to get all this posability and articulation. So, obviously, good shoulder range. Bicep swivel. His elbows bend about less than 90 degrees until you flex them out. Honestly, you can just keep bending it and then that will pull the elbow out. Then you get a little over 90 degrees with that. But keep in mind, once you do extend it, you will see a little bit of a screw and a little bit of a gray plastic joint right there. So after you do that, I would definitely push it back in. Definitely be careful with what you're pushing on, but you can do that just fine. His hands, as I said earlier, I have his articulated hands in right now. So he's got a ball joint right there. His thumb is on a ball joint at the base and has one hinge at the knuckle. And all of his other fingers have hinge at the base knuckle. And then two other hinges at his other joints. So you get a really nice fist. I don't even know if you saw a lot of that. Oh my gosh. Yeah, you can see how his hands work. He's got a lot of nice hand articulation. They look natural. They look good. I really don't have any use for any of the other hands, honestly. Except with these, you can't really get them tilted up for a repulsor blast, so those hands still have a use. As I did hint at, he does have some crazy waist articulation. So pull it up, and you get a bit of a crunch. Go back, side to side. That's been actually very useful. And a little bit of side to side like this as well. Definitely be careful. I wouldn't do that too often. His hips, like I've shown a few times already, those go out. You can get his legs moving forward about that far. Be careful though, when I was shopping for one, I actually noticed how someone had scraped off a lot of paint right there on his thigh armor. They probably were not being careful posing his legs, so definitely be careful to not have any paint scraping. Thigh swivel. His knees bend about 90 degrees. pretty good range right there, I'd say. I really like the armor separation as well. I think that looks really nice. Then last but not least, his feet. You've got this moving panel right there. Got that moving panel. You can get him forward, you can get him back. A little bit of toe range. The toe range has been very useful because I often have him walking on the display base. So, with all that being said, there we go. There is the most gorgeous Iron Man figure in my collection. The Hot Toys Iron Man Mark 45. What do I think? Was it worth the $360 after shipping and tax? It's a lot of money. It really is. That's why this is my first and last Hot Toys Iron Man. I don't think I'll want another one. I mean, why would I? This is my favorite armor. All the rest wouldn't amaze me as much as this one, honestly. I don't think I want another one. But do I think it was worth the price? Honestly, with the heft and the accessories and the detail and the engineering, I would say yes. I have no regrets with this. This is a gorgeous figure. This is a holy grail for me, honestly. This is a grail piece. I was finally able to track it down for a great price, and I am in love with this figure. By far my favorite Iron Man. If I could only keep one Iron Man, whoop, knocked into the camera, boop, it's that one. It's this one right here, the Hot Toys Iron Man Mark 45. Alrighty guys, there we go. Thank you so much for watching my long but detailed review of this 5-year-old Hot Toys figure that I've just now gotten about a week ago. It's amazing and I love it. And I highly recommend it if you are into this kind of stuff that I am now into apparently. Apparently, I'm just comfortable with dropping $360 on a Hot Toys Iron Man. Fun fact, this figure right here is the single most expensive collectible in my entire collection. The only thing that comes close is the Razor Crest from HasLab that I will be getting probably within the next month or two. That was like, what, $350? So, yeah, this is it right here. My most expensive boy. I love it, though. I really do. Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Special shout out to the patrons of Patreon. Thank you all so much. Honestly, contributions like that is a pretty big reason why I can afford stupid stuff like this. So thank you all so much for your continued support. And just watching the videos, too. Those really help as well. Alrighty, guys. There we go. Have a good one, and thanks for watching. Bye.